Hello, all. I hope you all had a fantastic week and a happy Thanksgiving as well. We have much to give thanks to. So, without further ado, we are heading into this week's portion, which is Parashat Vayetzei. And as Jacob is fleeing the house of his mother and father, running away from Esau, as we discussed last week, and he's on his own adventure right now. A lot of different things happened in this portion. I specifically wanted to touch upon uh, the transitions that Jacob is going with, culminates ultimately at fighting the angel and being named Israel instead of Jacob. However, there are some earlier transitions that take place, uh, starting with the ladder and discussing some of the meaning behind Jacob's ladder in his dream. So we, generally speaking, the way the the rabbis have interpreted this is that the dream is symbolizing the connection between heaven and earth. When a Jew goes outside the land, they enter a world where heaven and earth are separated. And as long as they're in the land itself, in the land of Israel, heaven and earth are still in a dialogue between themselves. When we leave, we see a very vast gap between the ideals of heaven and the earthly reality on the ground. And the dream in the ladder is actually here, it's trying to connect and bridge that gap. Um, in a certain sense, also, Jacob himself is the ladder, and whose role is to connect between heaven and earth wherever he is. And we could also see that the angels that are portrayed ascending and descending on the ladder, and it's not the other way around. Also, with regards to the order, because they're representing Jacob thoughts and ideals, which naturally ascend to heaven, but also descend to earth to be realized in reality, as we discussed. The prophet that is just stuck in the mountains all the time, and he doesn't come down to the people. We can't actually take any of that divine inspiration and bring it down to reality. Judaism teaches us that it does not endorse extreme spirituality that remains stuck in the heavens, so to speak, but encourages a constant movement of ascent and descent that connects between both of the worlds. In the context of the latter specifically, from a linguistic point of view, also, we could examine like the continuation of verse 12, which talks about the ladder itself. And we find a very interesting point of here. On one hand, it says, "And behold, a ladder was set on the ground." And the ground in Hebrew is haaretz. And from the letter hey, haaretz, it lets us know that the ladder is in heavens and it's directed towards the earth. On the other hand, in the continuation of that verse, it says, "And its top reached to the heaven," implying that the ladder is on earth, making its way up to the heaven. And the rabbis have suggested in the past that we could be talking about two distinct ladders. One is in heaven and one is in earth, and they don't touch each other. And to move from one ladder to another, bridging the gap between the finite and the infinite, person, an individual, must leap. There's a leap of faith, there's a jump, and there's an internal rift that requires bridging, and we all require bridging. Um, Another place where we could see in this portion that stresses the two worlds Jacob is living in is the covenant he makes with Lavan, with Laban, in the Gilad. Laban refers to this place in Aramaic. He calls it Yagar Saduta. But Jacob refers to the place in Hebrew and calls it Gilad. And also, this is not by chance either. In the Passover Haggadah that we read, it starts actually in Aramaic, and we say halachmania, the poor person's bread. And at the end of the Haggadah, it concludes with the words in Hebrew, L'shana haba Yerushalayim habnuya, next year in built Jerusalem. And we could see the transition here from Aramaic to Hebrew. It symbolizes the transition from exile to redemption. The ability to change a language, to move from a borrowed language to our own language, is an expression of our ability to emerge from the exile. On an anecdotal point, uh, before what I at least call our final redemption, coming back to the land, a little before coming back to the land, the Hebrew language had gone through a revival again. And here too, you could see us leaving behind the exile and emerging into our land again. So I wish us this week that we all manage to make that leap, that jump between those bridges, recognize that we always have to be bringing down those divine insights back into reality to ourselves, to our family, to our community, and feel comfortable in our own language and not necessarily need to adapt foreign ideas to express ourselves positively and properly. On that note, I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom and a restful week as well.